Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of
Music Theory with Travis!
Thanks for joining me. I'm Travis Henderson, and I like music. Today, we're going to be doing a little thing I call Compose Yourself. We're going to be trying to create a song from 3 randomly generated chords. We're going to start and work through this broadly speaking workflow. Inspire ourselves, create some music, refine what we've created, and finally finish our piece of music. We have 3 random chords. We don't yet know what those 3 random chords are, so we're going to find out together. Today we are at a site called random.org, where this site generates random numbers for us. How predictable. We are going to generate a single set of 3 unique random integers, and these integers are going to be between 1 and 12. The design here is that each number in this set from 1 to 12 is going to represent a key in an octave on the piano. Let's say if 1 is C, then 2 is C sharp, 3 is D, and so on. We don't yet know whether the chord is major or minor, so that is where a second instance of this random.org website comes in. This second instance of random.org is going to generate a single set of 3 unique random integers that are going to define whether each chord in our 3 sequence is going to be major or minor. In this arrangement, our values range between 1 and 6. Every odd number is going to represent a major chord, and every even number is going to represent a minor chord, naturally. It says 6, 5, 7. Ooh, okay, that sounds like it's going to be a fun challenge. 3, 2, 6. Remember what we said. Odd numbers are major chords. Even numbers are minor chords. If we assume that 1 corresponds to C on the piano, we can count up 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and then 1 back is 5, 6, 7. Ooh, my. Okay, let's put that together. So major, minor, minor. This means major, major, and then minor, and then minor. Okay. We have just finished the first step in our Inspire category. Let's move on to our Create category, where we let our creative juices flow, and we see what we can do with this chord progression. Okay, I'm all set here now. We have our 3 chords, F, E minor, and F sharp minor. Okay. Slight thinking break. Hey, this is Travis from The Thinking Break, here to bring you just a sped up version of what actually happened because, spoiler alert, this actually takes a long time. In short, past me takes these 3 chords, F, E minor, and F sharp minor, and does some work with inversions. We'll just focus in for a little bit here on the inversions. First, we start with looking at how to use inversions to create a little bit of melody such that the top note of each inversion feels like it's rising or it's falling. We could try and make this feel like an ascending motion. Or if we want to just do the going down thing, second inversion F sharp, second inversion F major, second inversion E minor. After some work with these, I thought that the falling action feels a little bit more natural. Let's talk a little bit about the scale analysis. We started with 3 chords and we didn't specify what scale this was in. Remember our 3 chords, we had F major, E minor, and F sharp minor in that order. If we take a look at the 7 letter names that are associated with Western music, we can map out what notes are played in each chord. For F major, we have F, A, and C. For E minor, we have E, G, and B. And for F sharp minor, we have F sharp, A, and C sharp. That provides actually quite a bit of constraint with regard to what scales we could be playing in when we play these chords. We have some options here. If we condense those down and we assume that 2 of these 3 chords are in a given scale, let's say we take first the F major and the E minor, we find that we have almost all keys filled except for D. As a matter of fact, all of the letter names are filled in both cases except for D. It's just that a couple of them, C and F respectively, have sharps in one sense and just are natural notes in another sense. If we do a little bit of looking and we see what scales fit these particular notes, we can see that the first row here of F and E minor corresponds to a scale that, so far as we can see, doesn't have any sharps in it. And in the second case, with the combination of F sharp minor and E minor, we can see that it corresponds to a scale with, so far as we can see, 2 sharps in it. If you know your music theory, you'll know that those two cases correspond to a C major / A minor scale or to a D major / B minor scale. But there's more to this. Maybe instead of thinking that we're in the key of C, maybe we should think that we're in the key of F sharp. So that would mean we're in not just the key of F sharp, but in the key of F sharp minor. If we take this scale analysis further, and if we assume that F sharp is the key center, this takes us away from this major and minor idea into modes. In this case, we would be playing in something we could choose F sharp Phrygian.
That's how F sharp Phrygian sounds.
Ooh, it's cold in here. Must be Phrygian. Okay. That would correspond to the bottom row of this bottom table, F sharp minor and E minor. Looking a little bit closer at F sharp Phrygian, we can see scale degrees of each note in the scale. 1 for the tonic, if you will, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7 for all of the notes above it. So starting with F sharp, we'd have G, A, B, C sharp, D, and E. And then the chords that correspond to F sharp Phrygian are what you can see there. Ah, that's right, I totally forgot about this great chord that is very interesting. It's basically the equivalent of a 5 here. So maybe we first do a chord like this, then we do an E minor, then we do an F sharp minor, and then maybe we bounce back to this faux 5. Faux 5. F sharp minor differs from F sharp Phrygian in a couple places. In the degrees of the 2nd, or the G, the 5th, and the 7th. There's a secret chord lying around here somewhere. As I figured out different combinations of chords that could be used to satisfy F sharp Phrygian, I realized that F sharp minor and E minor, which if you see are the 1st and 7th degrees in F sharp Phrygian, correspond in feeling closely to what you might have in a D minor scale, where you have a D minor and a C major. Rocking back and forth between these two chords produces a feel of almost going from 1 to 5 and back to 1. This 1 to 7 to 1 scale degree feel is sometimes used in Celtic music, such as On the Rocky Road to Dublin. I decided to adapt this feel, even though I was in Phrygian and not in Dorian, as many of those songs are written in, because it still felt like it was working, and it had an interesting feel to it that provided a sort of signature for the piece.
After many hours of trudging through chords and variations, we've arrived on something fairly simple.
After putting together a series of chords that take the song on a journey from the main chord progression back to the main chord progression again, I decided to call it quits on accompaniment and reduction and focus on melody and then orchestration. My vowel of choice is O, apparently. Then it became a matter of pulling out a few instruments, tuning them up, and recording a lot of takes.
Oh, yeah.
It's a lot of sound. Oh, we got anything with jazz in the name, I think is probably promising. I don't know if that's very promising. In the part of the pipeline coming afterward, I honed down all of the rather low quality takes to see if I could find some of the best in the finished product of the song. Over the course of about a week, I recorded the MIDI piano, bass guitar, electric guitar, and drums, and then I moved on to mixing the song down in the best way I knew how.